Dumb. Cool.
Weird.
Podcast.
Well, I usually use my wife's money to drain all the science funds and
Yes.
find a large centipede that lays in the back of many, many scared people.
All right, we just watched The Tingler, a Vincent Price movie, and it's quite a movie.
It's a good one.
Yeah. It's got some really interesting parts. It's one of those movies that you can tell, like, by the end of it, it's definitely a gimmick movie where...
Oh, yeah.
Like, so back in the day, from the 40s all the way up through the 60s, they used to do this thing where they'd have gimmicks in the movie theater where they would basically try to, like, get the audience involved. And they had this thing called smell-o-vision back in the day, which they would pump smells into the theater to, like...
Really?
Yeah. But this is, like, one of those things, because I noticed at the end of the movie, they were turning out the lights, and when they did that, I guess they were trying to get the audience involved with it.
Maybe somebody would, like, run in with, like, a feather and touch somebody.
Yep. But The Tingler is one of those weird movies, man. It's not really scary. I mean, hell, the fucking director opened up the movie by talking about how fucking scary this was going to be. He was like, "Oh, let me tell you, this is going to be if you feel terror while watching this, don't hesitate to scream." And then 3 people scream really loud, and it's kind of fucking annoying.
It's kind of cheesy, actually.
It's annoying too.
It gets right into it, though. They're at the prison, and the guy gets executed. Yeah. And, you know, you just see Vincent Price not playing an evil character for once.
Yep. Pretty much.
My favorite thing, though, has to be the fact that he's getting cucked.
Yep, by his wife.
Yeah, his wife's, like, fucking everybody else, and her sister's like, yeah. I wish my sister wasn't such a bitch.
In the beginning, there was a death. I forget, like, what was the death?
They killed that serial killer.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Guy who murdered the two girls, like, a few doors down from the other guy.
Oh, yeah. God, I completely missed that, dude.
Oh, yeah, no, Ollie was like, are you a relative? He's like, nah, he just killed, like, 2 people that lived near me. It's like, it's really weird that he was out there.
It is really weird.
Oh, it was because it was his wife's brother.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
I love how they used to introduce people back then who were deaf. Oh, yes, this is my wife. She's deaf and dumb. I want to know when that diagnosis just became deaf.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point it did. But yeah, it's one of those movies where you can tell that Vincent Price wasn't as over the top as he usually is. But he still had some moments. I mean, there's a moment where he literally shoots himself up with LSD and starts fucking tripping balls, and then he screams, and the scream is just fucking hilarious.
I love when he's like, the room is closing in on me. The windows are locked. He's pulling up the window.
Yeah, he clearly go out the window, and then he looks at the
skeleton, and he's just like, he starts screaming.
He passes out, and then they're like, he like wakes up, and he goes, I passed out.
I wish I didn't scream.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
I love how they're like his assistant David and his girlfriend are watching him trip balls in there, and until he starts like really freaking out, they're like, okay, we gotta find another pair of keys, we gotta save him. But before, like, oh no, we can't interrupt him. He's doing science.
Yep. Yeah, and then before that, they're like literally like he's literally like after that, he's like literally like, all right, we need to go in there now. And I'm just like, make up your fucking mind, bro. Are you going in there or are you not going in there?
I know, right? And you know what's funny? There's a lab setup and the apartment setup to Ollie's house was pretty much the same set for Bela Lugosi's 8-Man.
I noticed that. Did you also notice that they built up this entire plot with the wife and it never really had a resolution?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Other than the fact that I thought it was funny how when he catches her like kissing that dude in the front yard, and he like hides in the shadows with a gun.
Yeah, I love how he whips that gun out like real quick. He kind of just goes like that, and he's like, "Now you come with me, stupid."
I love how he's telling her that he could prove that she killed her father for the inheritance too.
Yeah,
and they didn't go on much more with that either.
No, honestly, they set up a lot of different like subplots, and they never really resolved themselves. I mean, the wife never got resolved. The inheritance going to the sister never got resolved. As a matter of fact, we really didn't see much of his brother or the sister when you think about it.
Oh, yeah, and you know, it was weird is the fact that she just disappears at the end, and it makes you think that, Ollie and her, like, ran away and were conspiring with one another.
Yeah, it's a really bizarre fucking movie, man. It really is, and it kind of is all over the place because like there's a part in the movie where like you think that like Vincent Price, he drugged like
He gave
the devil lady with acid. He gave her LSD.
Yeah, he gave her so much acid, and then her husband was like, "Oh, well,
Good opportunity to
fucking scare her to death."
Yeah, and we didn't even expect that. Honestly, I didn't expect that. That was pretty good, dude. I got to give him props on that one.
That was some good stuff. What I thought was crazy is the way he fucked with her.
Yeah, because so honestly, when the whole scene was going on, me and Nick thought it was either Vincent Price doing it to her because he wants the tingler out of her, or it was just all a hallucination.
Yeah, because it was hard to tell because I mean, what was it? The only part of the movie that's in color is the blood in the sink in the bathtub.
Yeah, fun fact about this movie, it's all in black and white, and then when it cuts to the scene where you see the blood, it's in color, which is fucking insane. And that was actually really hard to do back then, so that's actually pretty impressive, to be honest with you.
Wow, and then I still think it was funny is like when they finally get the tingler back, when they finally remove the tingler from his wife, then the wife drugs him when she thinks he succeeded in this, and it's like it gives you this illusion that she's in cahoots with Ollie to have him killed.
Yep.
And his wife.
Yeah, it's like a whole weird thing, and
it was a love triangle for the most part.
Well, the thing is, like, another thing that I want to add to that, we found out that the reason why people tense up and pass out when they go into shock is because there's a creature that lives on the back of your spine called a tingler.
Yes.
And it's just like, okay, that's weird lore, but all right. And I guess, throughout the movie, you hear them all, like, all these different people who've never really heard of the tingler being like, oh, yeah, the tingler. And it's like, what is the tingler just like this thing that they know about in this universe?
I guess what happened was Vincent Price said it, and his assistant never stopped talking about it when he was going out in town.
Mm.
That's the only way I could think of, like, how somebody like Ollie or the random people would be like, oh, the tingler. Yes, I know so much about that.
Yeah, I always thought that was so strange how, like, they just all of a sudden knew about the damn tingler. That was weird.
Yeah, but what was funny? The end of the movie when he threatens to shoot Vincent Price after he puts the tingler back in his wife with hopes that the tingler will die going back to its original host. And that face that his wife makes is just fucking hilarious. The man has a gun and he never uses it.
Never uses it. And then his wife comes back to life, I guess possessed by the tingler, and then the wife and the husband make the fucking dumbest faces I've ever seen in my life at each other.
It was a good time, though.
And then Vincent Price gives us some fucking voiceover at the end, talking to the audience, and then the end, and it's like, what the fuck?
Zero closure.
There's zero closure on any of the other subplots, and it's annoying. But
yeah,
maybe it was in the budget. But why even have those other subplots if you didn't have a budget?
I mean, I really thought in that scene where he pulled the gun out on his wife and he shot her, that he really shot her. Because he was talking about, like, I could really rearrange your body to make it look like a suicide.
Yep. Definitely could. That's definitely what he said. And, just to kind of kind of bring it all full circle, the whole time this movie's going on, while we're watching it, they kind of just jump around and the plot kind of sort of pokes along, and they even break the fourth wall like once or twice. They literally look at the camera. So honestly, I don't take the movie serious, dude.
I want to know when Vincent Price's movie career stopped being serious and just started getting a little bit more whimsical.
Probably in the 60s. I mean, this is pre-60s. This is the 50s.
Okay.
Because he definitely had a lot of serious roles. Because you could tell he was approaching this from a very serious perspective.
But he was also, like, having some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the dumb, cool, and weird about this movie. So the dumb, obviously, is the fact that the fucking subplots never got resolved.
Yeah, no, that was dumb. Like, I really wanted to know what his wife was planning. Like, was she trying to kill him and take his research money? Like,
I don't know. I mean, then, and another subplot that really was frustrating is like, did what's her face, this little sister, did she ever get her money?
Yeah, right. Did she ever get the inheritance from her older sister?
We'll never know. And then we also like, you know, other things we need answers to. Why? What was the motive for the guy to kill her and take the money? Was he gonna leave town?
I think he was. And I mean, he said that his wife tried to kill him multiple times, but it just
that
doesn't make sense.
That was a little random, wasn't that?
Yeah, it was very random.
Because you didn't seem like the type of person that was trying to kill him. But you know, whatever. What do we know?
But I mean, then again, he was referring to his wife as deaf and dumb. She was reading his lips. She was probably like, "I'm gonna show him who's dumb soon."
Absolutely. And obviously the cool part of the whole movie, the fucking blood.
Yeah, the blood.
Yeah,
that scene was something.
Yeah, because it was just, you know, it wasn't very common to see that back then, where they were able to isolate everything in the scene except for certain colors. So being able to isolate red, and because, you know, a lot of black and white movies were still very popular back then. You didn't see, like, there was some color movies, but
Yeah.
black and white was still like the standard. And being able to do that with black and white and then have like color with the blood is pretty damn amazing, considering how things were back then. And then we get to the weird. The whole fucking movie's weird, man.
Yeah, that whole movie.
The design
really off the wall.
of the Tingler is fucking weird, and
It's like a centipede lobster creature.
And the thing is, you don't really get much like explanation. You know, for a bunch of scientists, you don't really get much explanation for the fucking thing either. He said it's indestructible, it doesn't die, and it's unnatural, and he basically flushes all of his fucking like research down the drain because we've gone against nature.
Yeah, right. And it's like, well, apparently everybody knows about this Tingler. The whole town's talking about it, so you might as well unveil it.
Yep. I mean, the whole last part of the movie is really weird. They do this whole chase through the fucking theater where they're turning out the lights, talking to the audience. I guess this is probably just a movie of the week that you would watch in the theater, and it probably was. You know, you talk about it next week at work, you know, while you're, you know, back in the 50s when you're smoking your Winstons and drinking your Bush beer.
Yeah, you like your pre-lunch whiskey.
Yeah.
Your breakfast whiskey.
Talking about how you're like, you know, kicking the shit out of your dog, beating your kids, smacking your wife.
Yeah.
You know, fucking pieces
about
of
how
shit.
about how the silent movies were much better.
Yeah. Things are better back in my day when I worked in the goddamn factory.
I worked 78 in the asbestos factory 72 hours a week.
As a kid.
72 hours a day, 9 days a week, 465 days a year.
I mean, that movie probably was scary to them back then. I just one of the things that never ceases to amaze me about a lot of these old movies we watch is like the level of like what terrifies people, you know?
Yeah, it really shows you that people were kind of just not desensitized like we are these days.
Pretty much, yeah. But that was the Tingler. It's
would recommend.
It's, you know, this is a Vincent Price movie. He loves Vincent Price, and he has his strong feelings about it, you know, after watching it.
I mean, it's not the best movie, but it's definitely not the worst one you could have watched. You could always watch a Steven Seagal movie.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I mean, the man's an expert in everything, right? He's been flying helicopters for 25 years, training dogs for 35, being a Navy SEAL for 75 years, a professional diver for 100 years. Guy's got a great career.
The list goes on.
Also, he's like ethnically diverse. You know, he's like the whole diversity spectrum. You know, he's Mongolian, Belarusian, Japanese, Chinese, Russian.
Guess we'll have to watch a Steven Seagal movie at some point.
Under Siege is the only good movie that man has produced.
I want to watch the worst one from the 90s.
So everything else but Under Siege.
Yes.
Yeah, Steven Seagal really sucks.
Well, we're going to do it.
We have to.
But this has been the Dumb Cool Weird podcast. I'm glad you guys enjoy watching our stuff. We're about to probably have some evolutions coming up pretty soon for this. Working with a friend of mine, and we may be potentially shooting on an actual set for his where his studio is. So may happen. We're working on that.
Absolutely. Now you know what it is. Stay sexy, Atlanta.
Peace. Thanks for checking out the Dumb Cool Weird podcast. We're a movie podcast now, so Movie Monday is every Monday about crappy movies from the 20th century. It's going to be great, folks. I can't wait to show y'all.